Hello, good morning, guys.
Good morning, ma.
I hope we're doing okay. How's your weekend going?
It's going well, ma. And yours?
It's fine, thank you. So I can see there were just 6 here. Do we just proceed or do we wait for a little bit for the others to join us?
Now let's wait for them.
Let's give them like 2 more minutes.
Since the class is going to be recorded, I think we should just watch it because we have another class later by 9:30.
Okay, that's fine. Okay, I can see some people saying in the chat saying their weekend was fine. That's nice. Okay, so before we proceed, I would like us to do a little recap while we wait for the others to join us on what we discussed last week. Right, so let's briefly explain some of the topics that we discussed during our previous class, as this would help us to connect what we learned last week with the topic that we're going to be covering today. So we all know that we discussed the concept of human resource management and how, as a HR manager, you play a critical role in the process of or in the success of an organization. Right. So who can give us some of the topics that we discussed in the last class? Just key points on what we discussed in the last class. You can just put it in the chat if you don't want to talk, or you raise your hand and then Just unmute your mic and let's hear you. Okay, Raymond, please go ahead.
Okay, we discussed about who a human resource manager is, and also
Okay,
the role of a human resource manager, and
fantastic.
also the importance.
That's fantastic. Nice. Is it only Raymond that was in last class?
We talked about who a human resource manager is.
Okay.
Say a resource manager in an organization is like a middleman who carries or settles conflict among employees, or who stand in between the employee to fight for their rights, to replace people um at the right places, to hire people or
Okay.
recruit people for the company
Fantastic.
organization.
Wow, that's nice. So I think Rose remember the conflict part because we're talking about how if there's conflict between a proprietor of a school, right, and how to resolve it. But the role of the HR manager doesn't just stop at resolving conflicts. So, in the introduction to human resource management, we said human resource management refers to the process of managing people, right? And people refers to the labor force in an organization. It is a structured and effective way for organizational goals to be achieved, right? So, as the HR manager, you focus on activities such as recruitment, training, performance management, compensation, and employee relations, right? So, their relationship in the organization, their relationship between departments, their relationship between co-staffs and managers and reporting managers, right? So that was what we discussed. And then there's an example of the hospital, a modern hospital with equipment, but without qualified doctors and nurses. Who is going to, you know, take care of patients? Is it just the machines? No. So as HR manager, you have to get administrators because the hospital cannot function on its own. And this is why people are the most important resources in any organization you find yourselves. You will value people and take them like treasure. In as much as they work for you, they are more of an asset to you than you are to them, because people would always find another job and they are not satisfied where they are. Right. We also discussed human resource planning. We said human resource planning involves forecasting the future workforce needs of an organization. So it will ensure that organizations have the right number of employees with the right skills and at the right time. Right. So you can't be in an organization as a HR manager and then a staff decides that they want to resign, or a staff is about to retire and you don't have any plans as to how the position is going to be filled, right? So that is where you come in. You have to plan, you have to forecast it. Like there should be structures in place of how such position is going to be filled. So as a HR, you must plan ahead by recruiting new employees or by getting, by filling the space internally. You could have people in the organization who already have knowledge on how the organization is running, and they can just fill up the space while you recruit junior staffs, right? And if such a staff is not available within, then you can now go to external sources to source for such position. We also talked about organizational change. Organizations constantly experience changes due to factors such as technology, competition, economic conditions, and government policies, right? If you remember during the 2020 incident whereby organizations had to go remote. Now, how were they going to function? Most organizations actually shut down because they didn't know how to now function in a remote environment, right? So that is where your job as a HR manager comes in. You can now say, oh, we could have meetings online, right? You now begin to train your staff on how to take meetings online, how to, still function when you're not in the physical office, right? So now transitioning into today's topic, we're going to be looking at recruitment, because now that we've understood the importance of managing employees in an organization, we will now focus on how these organizations find the employees, how they select the right employees, how they train and develop them, and how they evaluate their performance. And this process is known as recruitment, right? So in your own words, can you tell me what you think recruitment is? Just one person.
Yes, ma'am.
Yes, I
According
can.
to my understanding, recruitment is hiring people for the right skill at the right time for the right job.
Fantastic. That's great. Anyone else? Okay, so recruitment is one of the most important functions of a human resource manager, because this refers to the process of identifying and attracting and let me say encouraging qualified candidates to apply for a job position in an organization, right? So the main purpose of recruitment is to create a pool of qualified candidates from which the organization can select the best person for the job. Now, the essence of putting out vacancy is not just for everybody who is jobless to apply, right? Because at the end of the day, you would have 100, 200, 300 applicants who do not even fit the role that you are filling in for, right? So when a company advertises a job on LinkedIn or in the newspapers, they are trying to attract qualified candidates. This is part of the process of recruitment, right? So recruitment is the process of searching for potential employees and encouraging them to apply for vacancies within an organization. We can say that recruitment is considered a positive process because it encourages more applicants to apply. Unlike when we just go for referrals, to get people to fill in the job. So the process of recruitment is open for everybody, right? So if a company posts a job opening online, it might receive about 300 applications, like I said. So now, how do you ensure that within these applications, if you're now going to check them out, you would have applicants that actually fit in the role, right? So let's say, for instance, we want to fill in the position of a bank manager. What kind of process should we take in putting out such a vacancy? Should we just, sometimes when you're walking on the roadside, you see vacancies, right? So if we're filling the job of a bank manager, do we just write on a cardboard and post on our sidewalks, on the roadside? If you want to apply for, if you're working and then you see a vacancy for a bank manager with Zenith Bank, would you apply? What would you think of such adverts? Would you think it's legit?
No, I would think it's a joke because how will I just
No,
walk on
ma.
the street and see an advert of a bank manager posted on the wall? Ah, I just like the scammer.
Fantastic. Very good. Because why? You can't find such caliber of people working on the roadside because they are too busy managing other organizations or other sectors, right? So how do we now check for these employees? We could use LinkedIn. I'm sure we all know what LinkedIn is, right?
Yes, ma.
Yes,
Exactly.
ma'am.
Exactly. So you can find such caliber of people there. But how about if we want to employ for housekeepers, would that process work? Would it be efficient?
Yes, like housekeeper, sales girls, sales boys, and seeing it on the
Ex-
carbon, it can work.
Fantastic. Because as a matter of fact, you will get them so much that you tell them is enough. All right. So recruitment usually follows several steps, and one of those is identifying the vacancy. Right? You don't just put out job applications without identifying what role are you um putting out vacancies for. So now this occurs when a department informs the HR that additional staffs are needed. For example, if a company expands its operations in Abuja and they need more customer service staffs, now this would now help the HR manager to know that, okay, but the customer service staffs, what is the JD that I'm supposed to, add to such job adverts? JD is the job description, right? Or a finance officer position. You know what a finance person does. And one of those things is probably it if you want to add to job descriptions, one of those requirements would be a degree in finance or a degree in accounting, or probably an additional advantage would be your ICANN or your ANAN, right? For those who are into accounting, you get. Then attracting applicants. Organizations attract applicants using different recruitment methods, such as the job advertisements, like we talked about, recruitment agencies or professional networks, right? So now such professional networks, like we said, is the LinkedIn, advertisements, posting on the roadside, or even WhatsApp. Your WhatsApp is also this thing, means of getting this thing applicants, right? So screening applications, the HR reviews the applications to identify candidates who meet the job requirements. Because at the end of the day, sometimes Nigerians don't listen to instructions. They will see an accountant can see vacancy for a customer rep, and then they will still apply because they believe, in Nigeria now, it's not what you studied in school that you'll be doing as a job, because everybody is trying to find a means of survival, right? So they end up learning, working in areas that is not their field. I have a friend who studied agriculture in the university, but he's working in the hospital as a pharmacist. Do you understand? Now that kind of a thing. But for a serious-minded organization, the job description would help inform the HR how to recruit, or what kind of applicant to recruit, right? So, and that would bring us to recruitment policy. Okay. So, the recruitment policy would provide guidelines that the organization can follow when hiring employees. Okay. Are you with me? So it
Yes.
will ensure
Yes,
it will ensure that, okay, fantastic. It will ensure that the recruitment is fair, it is transparent, it is consistent. So the recruitment policy usually defines who is responsible for the recruitment, the recruitment procedures, and the hiring standard. Here we said the recruitment policy of every organization is based on the goals, the needs, and the environment of the organization. Now, have you tried applying for an international job? If you've tried, then you would understand um, how their policy is very strict, like documentation, onboarding. Oh my goodness, their recruitment could take days. All right, so now that is based on the kind of policies that they've put out. So it involves the employer's commitment to some principles as to find and to employ the best qualified candidates for the job, and to retain the most promising of those that are hired, right? You don't just, if you want an organization to actually succeed, it depends on the kind of um, staff that you employ, right? There are some staffs who don't even know anything about the job, but because they're looking for work, like I said, they will still apply. So you as the HR manager, if you don't know what your the purpose of such recruitment. You would give them the job and just to fill in the position. You don't want to say that, oh, you're not doing your jobs. But at the end of the day, will they be able to deliver? They won't be able to deliver. So now, that is why you have to put such policies in place so that they can be strictly adhered to, and then the right candidates can be employed. Reasons for recruitment policy. We say to provide each employee with an open road and encouragement in continuing development of his talents, his skills, and personal goals. To provide employees with employment security, to avoid frequent layoff or lost time, to avoid cliques which may develop when members of the same or community are employed, to encourage effective trade unions among employees, to assure fairness in all employment relationships, including promotions and transfer, right? Let's use, for instance, an organization where the manager is resigning, right? And you want to fill in such a position internally. Now, what is going to inform your decision of picking, because you have other staffs who are there, right, that are junior staff to manager. Now, what decisions are going to inform you making a decision on a particular person in order to ensure that your selection is fair, right? Now, the policies you've put in place will now determine. So at the end of the day, when you choose Mr. C, Mr. A and B will not, pick a problem, because they know that, okay, based on the organizational policy, this is the person who is fit for the job. Am I okay? Are we speaking?
Yes, ma'am.
Yes, ma'am.
Fantastic. So it ensures fairness in hiring. It maintains employment stability, because if I'm in an organization and I know that, okay, if I stay here within 5 to 10 years, I know that there is going to be progress. There is room for advancement, right, to the manager, to the CEO, to the CFO, right? You could come into an organization as an accountant or an accountant, an assistant accountant, and you know that, okay, if I stay from time to so time, the accountant would have retired by the time he reached the age of 45. So I would now become the accountant manager, right? So now it ensures continuity. So in order to ensure transparency and promotion in hiring processes, that is the reason why we have the recruitment policies. So conditions for a good recruitment policy. We say a good recruitment policy should align with organizational goals. It must also be flexible, because if you are rigid, you'll just be on your own. There's some people that don't like strict policies. So it also has to ensure fairness, it has to encourage employee growth, and it has to match employee skills with job requirements. Right?
Yes, ma'am.
Fantastic. So sources of recruitment. Now, after the finalization of recruitment plan and indicating the number and the type of prospective candidates, now they must be attracted to offer themselves for consideration to their employment. This necessitates the identification of sources from which these candidates can be attracted. Now, various sources of recruitment may be classified as internal and external. So we say sources of recruitment are actually divided into two, which is internal and external. So for the internal source of recruitment, we say that it involves filling vacancies with existing employees. Just like we talked about, if you want to have continuity, if you want to encourage staffs to stay long term, not the one that they'll be here within 2 months, and if they are not really feeling it in the organization, or they feel like the benefits they are getting, they can get it elsewhere, they would leave, right? So now, these are the reasons why, these are the factors that inform your decisions to employ internally, right? So some of the examples is promotions, transfer, employee referrals, right? For example, a sales supervisor may be promoted to a sales manager, right? which is a good example. Now, an advantage of internal recruitment: employees are already familiar with the organization. Do you get? It improves employee morale. The recruitment cost is lower. It encourages career growth. So if as an organization you want to fill in the role of the sales manager and you already have the sales supervisor there, now why do you have to go out of the organization when you could just promote the sales supervisor to the manager? One of those reasons is he already is familiar with the product you're working with, right? It's also going to make him happy. Let him know that, oh, I actually belong. You know, there's a thing with human beings when you make them feel like they belong to certain things. There are sometimes that my MD will be talking to me and he'll say, what do you think we should do? How do you think we should do this? Like, okay, it gives you a sense of belonging, right? Now, that is what is now going to improve employee morale. And then the employment cost is going to be low. If, for instance, employing the sales manager would cost about, let's say, 3.5 million for salary, for benefits, for leave allowances, and currently the sales supervisor is earning, let's say, 1.5 million. Now, in order for you to now give him the 3 million naira, how much do you think you need to remove from your budget as an organization? It's just an extra 1.5 million, right? But if you say you want to now go externally to recruit afresh, you're going to be costing the organization about 3 million naira. 1.5 million extra is a lot for an organization to save. So it saves costs, right? And it encourages career growth. I know that, okay, in my CV, I will say from a sales supervisor, I became the sales manager, which is what? Career growth. Okay, if you're applying for another job, they can now see your progress from one level to the other. Now, disadvantages of internal recruitment. It may limit new ideas, right? Not all positions can be filled internally. And then it may lead to favoritism if not managed properly. There was someone that said you can't remove the human out of human resources. So humans will always be humans. And the thing with HR managers, it's sometimes they tend to favor staffs that are close to them, staffs that, you know, they have a certain kind of relationship with. And if you're the kind of person who you don't care who is who, you're just doing your job, it might be a disadvantage to you, regardless of whether you know what you're doing or not. Right. So at the end of the day, you see that you're just in one position. Let's use government agencies, for example, right? The government sector, for instance, you will see someone who just came in 2 years ago, and he's already 5 steps ahead of you, 5 levels ahead of you, simply because he has a relationship with the higher departments, the MDs, the managers, and all of that. So favoritism can be in it. There's bias, right? Regardless of whether the person is qualified or not. This is my person, give them the job, they will do it, right? These are kind of part of the disadvantages of recruiting internally. And then there won't be new ideas. Why? Because these people have been in a particular space for a long time. Okay, but when you look out and when you bring people from outer sources, you know, they've interacted with other sectors, they've interacted with other organizations, and they've interacted with other products that they can bring in new ideas into organization and tell you, oh, how about we look at let's look at the fintech sector, for example. Now, a lot of people don't even use all these our modern banks such as the Zenith Bank, the UBA, and all of that. A lot of people are now transitioning into microfinance banks. Why? Because of their easy usage. From your house, you can open an account. From your house, you can upgrade your account from a level 1 to a level 3. Right? If you're someone who deals with large volumes of transfers, you don't have to now and you have a job, you don't have to now be looking for a day to seek permission from your HR to say, let me go to my bank. And you know, when you go to the bank, there's always queue. You go and spend 3 hours there, unproductive hours. But what the fintech sector has brought about easy use of the banking system, whereby in your and there was a bank that I'm currently using, and I think one of the reasons why I used it was because hello, can you hear me?
Yes, ma, you
Yes,
can
we
hear you.
can.
Okay, so I started using them because of their functions. Like I opened my account from my house. All I did was to download their app. I opened my account in my house. I upgraded my account from my house. All I had to do was take my picture, upload my name, upload my signature, and I was moved from a level 1 to a level 3. And the thing is, when you call their customer care reps, they respond to you swiftly, right? So now we're not talking about new ideas. So if as an organization, as a HR manager, you see that, well, if we're employing internally, we're not going to progress, the organization is still going to be where it is, then what do? You now decide to go out. Okay, if you've now realized that, okay, you need the organization to go beyond what it is, we need fresh hands on deck, we need fresh management on deck, right? So this is the reason why the internal recruitment is at a disadvantage. Okay, so external sources of recruitment. So external recruitment involves hiring candidates from outside the organization. So examples include job advertisements, recruitment agencies, online job platforms, campus recruitment. What are the advantages of external recruitment? It brings new ideas into the organization. Like I just explained, it expands the pool of candidates, right? You have a quite a number of candidates to select from. It gives you the choice, to make decision on the kind of applicants that is going to fill in the position. And then it allows the organization to hire specialized talent. Okay, so recently I've been trying to put in applications for a data analyst, right? And our IT team put out a vacancy on LinkedIn, and there are about 200, 300 applications on our emails. Now, while checking these emails, you would see that you have people who just took courses on data analyst as a data analyst, but they don't have the experience, right? So as the HR manager, this gives you an advantage, okay? Because you can now go through CVs and see, oh no, this is not the kind of person I want. I'm not looking for an intern. I'm looking for someone who already knows the job, somebody who's going to bring in value, somebody who's going to come and tell us what to do as a data analyst. Because if we knew what to do, we're not going to employ a data analyst, are we? No. So it will now inform your decision and help you choose the right candidate for the job. Okay. Now, that is the advantage of external recruitment. Then disadvantages of external recruitment. There is higher recruitment cost, like we discussed. There is longer training period because you have to begin to now onboard the staff on the kind of what your organization is all about, what you do, the kind of products that they're going to be working with, and then introducing them to the rest of the team and how they're going to function, work together, collaborate together, right? So it brings about longer training period. But if you are, employing internally, like we talked about the sales supervisor, he's already in the loop of what is going on in the organization. So all he has to do is take on the job of the manager. And with that, do you need to train them? No, you don't need to train them. All you need to do is just increase their incentive, right? So another disadvantage is new employees may take time to adapt. Like, okay, so the company I'm working for, it's a holding company, and it has different subsidiaries. we have oil and gas, we have agriculture, we have another subsidiary which is finance. Okay, so now if as a data analyst you're coming in, you have like three different sectors of the economy in order for you to now get a grasp of, if I'm not really an agricultural person, I have to now begin to learn what agriculture is all about and then the kind of products we're working with as an agricultural sector. If I'm not an oil and gas person, now I have to begin to what? To learn. And you as a HR manager, you have to now begin to onboard the staff and then teach them. So it takes time for an employee to adapt because these are things that you're not familiar with. Do you understand? So this is an advantage of the external recruitment. So methods of recruitment. Let's look at methods of recruitment. Okay. We have the direct method. And the methods of recruitment are a way of establishing links with the prospective employees. It's also different from sources of recruitment, which are the locations where prospective employees are available, or the methods employed recruiting employees. So this may be classified into the following categories. We have the direct methods, we have the indirect methods, and we have the third party method. Right. So the direct method is job advertisement on newspapers, online platforms. The indirect method is job advertisement, newspapers, and online platforms. Then the third party method is recruitment agencies and professional consultants. Professional consultants would be like this agency now that is training you guys. I could just, as an organization, I could just reach out to them and say, hey, hello, we're looking for customer service representatives. And they already have a pool of candidates that's under that are in their system. So now they would now help, which is the third party. Okay. Now, factors affecting recruitment. Recruitment can be affected by economic conditions, labor market availability, company reputation, government regulations. I heard of a HR manager who was, she's a social media person, and you know how this generation now, everything is online. Your whole life is online, what you're doing, your job. So everybody already knows what you are doing. They know the company you're working for, right? And she happened to interview a client or a prospective employee who now, just appreciated her cologne or the perfume that she wore. And she came out on social media and was, dragging the person. Like, why would you do that? Why would you came for an interview? I am your your interviewer. And she felt like it was unethical. And you know how social media people can be. They are your online in-laws that you did not employ. They began to take the case. And because the company that she's working for is already online, they didn't just come for her, they came for the company. Okay, so now as an organization, what would you do in this position? Because you have to protect your company's reputation. So what would you do? You now have to look for another HR manager. So which means you have to dispose of this one. That's going to bring problem to you. Okay, I don't want to bring in the example of what happened between this lady that was working with Shea Tinubu. I was talking about Shea Tinubu and then Very Dark Man. I'm sure you all are aware of that case. Now, she came for Very Dark Man, but Very Dark Man went for what? Her reimbursers, people that are giving her money to take care of these schools or to revamp these schools that she's busy making noise about. But was that what the message was about? No. So in that kind of case, what happened? In order for you to protect your image politically, you now have to, if you check it, people are saying that Shea Tinubu unfollowed her, right? So those are some of the measures organizations can take in order to arrive at the decision that they need to recruit. Okay. All right. So if employment is high, organizations may receive many applications. Mm? If unemployment is high, organizations might receive many job applications. Like I talk about the data analyst role that we put out vacancy for. We had about 300 or even more CVs that came in for the data analyst. And if you check it, a lot of them are either just freshers, some are not even data analysts, but they still put in applications for the role. I don't know if they think that you as a HR manager, you don't know what you're doing. Mm? Okay. So philosophies of recruitment. Let's look at philosophies of recruitment. There are basically two philosophies of recruitment. We have the traditional and we have the realistic. Traditional philosophy focuses on attracting as many applicants as possible. Right? That was what I was saying. I'm getting about 300 applicants. But the realistic philosophy focuses on matching employee expectations with organizational needs. Now, if you want to have a realistic philosophy, if you want to have employees apply for a certain job, what do you do as the HR manager? You have to be specific with your job description. You have to put it all out that, okay, as you're coming in, you're going to be managing the finance department. You're going to be managing the finance data. You're going to be managing, everything related to finance. And when I see such kind of vacancies, I'll know that, okay, this is not for me as a HR manager because nothing concerns me with money. All right. There are times whereby it seems my boss used to forget that I'm the HR manager. He will tell me to go and write what is it called? Invoices, right, for certain products that we need with our external partners. And because it is not my job description, I would have to then go and meet the accountant and be like, come on, let's put heads together and then create this invoice. Okay? So in order for you to get the right candidates, now what do? You put in the right job description so that the right applicant can apply, which is the realistic philosophy of recruitment. And let's look at selection process. Selection is the process of choosing the most suitable candidate from the pool of applicants. While recruitment attracts applicants, selection identifies the best candidates for the job application. Now, like we talked about the data analyst, right? Now, recruitment made about 200 to 300 applicants to apply for the job. But selection will now do what? Make me as a HR to do what? Go through such pool and then select the right candidates. Because I know that, okay, we want a data analyst who already knows their job. So I'm not going to be looking at a CV with somebody who just took a course on data analyst but does not have the on-the-job experience, which is why we see theory is different from practical, right? There are some people who don't even have the certificate, but because they have practical skills, you could employ them because they know what they're doing. They've had experience on the job, which is the difference between recruitment and selection. Do you understand the difference between recruitment and selection?
Yes,
Yes,
ma'am.
ma'am. Please, ma'am, can you come again? The difference.
Okay, so I said recruitment attracts candidates. Okay, selection evaluates the candidates and chooses the most suitable one. You hear me? So when a department in an organization, let's say like the IT department comes and say they need a customer service rep. Okay, now what am I going to do? I'm going to put out job applications and say, customer service person, maybe a certificate as a customer service rep, or fluency in English, not a Hausa person. Do you understand? So these things would now determine people applying. And then the selection process would be me going through those applications that have come in. Hmm? That is the selection process. Selection process is going through the job applications that have come in and then selecting the right candidate for the job.
Okay,
And
ma.
as the HR manager, also when you are going through the process of selection, you have to be careful enough so you don't make selections based on other CVs. You make selection based on the job description that the company has already written down based on the policies of employment for that position. Because most times the mistake that we HRs will do is when we look at one CV, we keep it, we say, oh, this is good. Then because there are a lot of applications now, we want to pick the best. So we go again, check another one, be like, okay, this is also good, you keep it. And then the next thing you begin to do is compare the CVs. But no, that's not what you're supposed to do. You're supposed to compare each CV based on the job description that the organization is looking for, based on the role that the person is coming to fill in, right? So that way it gives people an advantage, gives people an open advantage to get the jobs. So now it is your job as HR manager to ensure that the selection process is fair, right? So yeah, I already gave this example. I said 300 candidates apply for a job, recruitment brought them, but selection determines who gets hired. Is that okay?
Yes, ma.
Yes,
All right.
ma'am.
Yes, ma'am.
So selection, gas selection. So selection now usually involves several steps. We have application pool, we have preliminary screening, we have application form, we have selection test, and then we have rules of good testing, right? So application pool, this refers to the total number of applicants for a job. For example, if a company advertises a job and receives 500 applicants, this is an application pool. Okay? Then preliminary screening, the initial interview of applications to remove unqualified candidates. Most times, people do the traditional way of putting out applications whereby they'll give you a location and say, okay, come on so day for the interview, and you go for an interview and you see that there's about 300 of you, right? Now that's the traditional way. And then they will screen you one by one. You will come in, interview you, they screen the next person. So that's the screening process, right? Which is preliminary screening. And then you remove the unqualified candidates to get the qualified candidates. Then applications form. Candidates complete a form providing information such as their education, their experience, and their skills, which is a modern form of selection procedure. Now, a lot of people just put out Google Forms out there, which is thanks to technology, right? And the Gen Z era, which has brought about a lot of progress in technological enhancements in recruitment processes. So all I'm going to do is put out Google Forms, right? So now these Google Forms would help me select the right candidates, because if about 300 candidates put in application, I'm now going to see that, okay, out of these 300, there's only 10 or 15 that actually qualify for the job that we are putting out. So our selection is now going to be based on these 15 and not the 300 that were put out. Right, then selection tests. Tests may be used to assess candidates' abilities. The types of tests include aptitude test, intelligence test, personality test, skills test, right? So let's use example of a customer service rep. Nowadays, a lot of people prefer to work remotely than work in 9 to 5. I don't know what's happening to the youth, but if you go to a job now, most of the people you will see there are other people who don't know about technological advancements, because the youth who are aware of technology nowadays would prefer to work remotely. Okay, so if a customer service rep job application is out there, there are different ways they use in testing the right candidates. There's English tests, there's typing tests, because if you're going to be working remotely, definitely you have to know how to use your keyboard, and you cannot be their job is measured hourly, on an hourly basis, right? So if you spend 30 minutes just to type hello sir, you're going to be wasting their time. All right, so there's the typing test, there's the English test, your English proficiency, how you're going to sound when you're talking to a customer. You need to be um knowledgeable, right? Your your terminologies have to be right. Okay, for instance, you want to say the word empathy and you say empathy. For those of us who have Hausa accents, all right. So those steps, those tests will now help in the selection process, and then help the HR manager to do what? To pick out the right candidates for the job. Because if you fail, that means what? You're not qualified, and there is no way your application is going to go through unless you pass those tests, right? So rules of good testing. A good test should be reliable, it should be valid, it should be fair, and it should be job related. Okay, so that is it. Then let's go to interview. Are we good on selection process?
Please ma, come back for that last statement you made, the rules for selecting, test selecting.
Rules for good testing.
Yes ma.
Okay, so we said a good test should um I mean we said rules for good testing. A good test should be reliable, it should be valid, and it should be job related. Okay, like I was giving the example of the customer service rep. You know that uh if I sit down for like an hour and I'm trying to get the typing test, because for a typing test there's certain amount of number of words you need to get within a minute, within 2 minutes, do you understand, or within let's say few seconds. So now you know that this is what is reliable, because it's going to help you know which candidate is slow in typing, which candidate is proficient with using their PC, right, which is their computer system. So now such kind of testings would help you pick out valid candidates, and it is also fair, okay, because you know that you yourself that you're sitting down, you know that you don't know how to operate a computer system, okay, and then you're applying for such a job. If you don't get it, you feel it in your heart that, oh, it's because of this one. And so if I want to get it, what will I do? I'll go and work on myself and then learn how to use the system, learn how to type fast. Okay. And then even if it is let's say executive assistant, you have to be proficient with your Microsoft Word, your Google Documents, your Excel, your spreadsheets, creating slide decks. Okay, so these things inform the HR manager how to select. Okay, so the rules of good testing will pick out all these things, and you know that they are reliable, they are valid, they are fair, and they are job related. That's why I give the example of the customer service rep and the executive assistant. So you know that, okay, if they are testing you on creating spreadsheet or creating a document, you know that if you don't do it well, you yourself, you will know. The HR doesn't even need to come and tell you, oh, we are sorry, you did not meet our criteria, blah blah blah. By yourself, you know it. Okay, I don't fuck up, well, and then you go and work on yourself. All right, is that understood?
Yes ma, thank you.
Okay, fantastic. So application pool. Application pool is built up through recruitment process. Now it is based for selection process. The basic objective at the recruitment level is to attract as much worthwhile applications as possible so that there are more options available at the selection stage, right? Talked about preliminary screening. I think we've discussed this already. So let's go to interview. Talked about selection, selection. Okay. So let's talk about interview. Now, an interview is a conversation between the employer and the candidate to assess suitability for a job. What did I say? An interview is a conversation between the employer and the candidate to assess suitability for a job, in as much as a candidate has put in the application and then you call them in for an interview, or you set up a Zoom call for an interview. Now, this interview is a process whereby you are seated one-to-one with your employer and you're discussing. The employer asks questions and then the interviewee now responds to these questions. Right now, so the objectives of interview is to evaluate communication skills, is to assess confidence, is to understand candidates' personality. There was a time where employing for an executive assistant, and we also needed a business development person, right? So now 2 people came in for these roles, and the person who put in an application for an executive assistant, after speaking to the person, I realized that this person could actually fill in the position of the business development person. Why? Because they have experience in that field. Okay. Do you see how interview has helped inform the decision of picking who the business development person is going to be, and why the person shouldn't just settle for the executive assistant role? Now, based on conversations, right? When the person speaks, you see, you look at confidence, you look at composure, you look at the person's ability to communicate, right? The person's ability to execute tasks or to carry out tasks. That is what the interview helps you to do. It evaluates communication skills. It assesses the confidence and then understand candidate's personality. So now, there are certain individuals who lack patience, okay? And there are interviews whereby you know that, okay, they're going to be dealing with patients, as in, let's say, human beings, okay? And if you as a person, as an individual, you have anger issues, now, it is my job as an interviewer to access your communication skills, to access your personality. How are you going to behave in a situation whereby a patient, step on your toes? How do you behave? Would you hold your composure? Now, the interview would help me access that. Okay, there are certain interviews whereby you push a candidate in order to react. Okay. There are some candidates who they don't even have man, they don't even care if you're the person that's about to give them trouble. So they don't compose. They will show their village characters. Right. So now that is what an interview will do, to help you decide if this person fits for the role or not. It determines job suitability. So at the end of the day, the person who applied for the executive assistant role was now giving the business development role, which is what the interview determined. It determined the job suitability of the applicant. And at the end of the day, we had to now get someone else for the executive assistant role. So types of interviews: we have structured interviews, we have panel interviews, we have stress interviews, we have behavioral interviews, like I was saying, when you want to check a person's personality to find out if they are patient or not. There are sometimes an organization doesn't even necessarily need to interview you. They will tell you an interview is for 10 a.m. And you, because you want to be punctual, you might even come 9 or 9:30. and they will keep you seated from that 10 till closing time. Now, what would you do? Would you stay from 9 to 12 and say, these people are not serious? You stand up and go. What will happen? If you're trying to test your patience, you've lost the job without necessarily being interviewed, right? That is what behavioral interview checks for. Okay, but some people might actually stay there and be like, "Whoa, you know what? It is either we die here," because you people called me, so I'm not going to leave, right? And then you stay there. At the end of the day, when the interviewer comes and like, "Where are those people that came for the interview?" I say, "They've all gone. It's only," he says, "It's only you." Okay, you're resuming on Monday. Do you understand? So now these are the types of interviews. We have panel interviews. Panel interviews is a situation whereby you have like 5 different managers interviewing you. Okay, that's the international organizations usually do this, whereby you go through steps of interviews. 2 people interview you at a time, 3 people interview you at a time, depending on the role, depending on the sector that you are applying into. Then we have background investigation. So organizations verify candidates' information such as their education, their previous employment. For example, now the HR may contact the previous employer to confirm work history. Most times when an applicant is putting out their CV, they put referees. Right now, those referees, they are not for fancy. Is to help the employer or the HR manager to do what? To find out, okay, because sometimes it is necessary for certain organizations, depending on the kind of work that they deal with, to now find out what's the behavioral pattern of this individual. Right? Let's say let's say you apply to go and work in a psychiatric ward. You apply to go and work in a psychiatric ward, and then you are a crazy person. There won't be any difference between you and the people that are mad in the psychiatric ward, right? So now behavioral investigation or background investigation would help us to now, make a right decision, so that at the end of the day, we will not employ you today and tomorrow we have to carry you and throw you out, because you and the mad people, there's no difference. my speaking.
Yes, ma'am.
Yes, ma'am.
Okay, then we have physical examination. Some jobs require medical examinations to confirm physical fitness. We could look at examples of security officers that may require medical clearance. Now, it might not just be security officers. Even when it comes to home managers, housekeepers, right? You would have to take their test, be it HIV, be it tuberculosis, be it blood tests, whatever it is, all right, in order to ensure the safety of your children, your home, and yourself, right? So now, this is where physical examination comes in. You test them, and then the test will now inform your decision on whether the person is to be employed. I think I saw a post one time where somebody was encouraging that blood test is actually important for housekeepers, because you would employ people and you don't even know whether they are pregnant or not. There was someone who applied for a housekeeper, and they did blood test on her. She didn't even know she was pregnant. So imagine someone coming into your house with pregnancy. You will just be wondering, where did you get pregnant from? Is it my husband that made you pregnant, or is it the security man? Okay, especially when the person doesn't even know that they're pregnant, and this is going to create what conflicts in your home. So in order to avoid that, you do a physical examination before you employ anybody, and that is because that job requires such kind of examination. We have final employment decision. So the final hiring decision is made by management after reviewing all evaluation results. Most of the times when I'm done with interviewing a candidate, I carry them to the management to now maybe make their own interview, ask their own questions, to suit them. Like the executive assistant will work directly with the managing director, right? So they would also need to now speak with them. So this will bring about the final employment decision, right, on whether such employment candidate should be employed or not. So after a candidate is finally selected now, the human resource department recommends his name for employment. The management or the board of the company offers employment in the form of an appointment letter mentioning the post, the rank, the salary grade, the date by which the candidate should join, and other terms and conditions of service. There was an offer letter that was put out, and I think we omitted whether the salary was going to be their net salary. That's the salary that was stated in the offer letter. If it's going to be their net salary or their gross salary. Now, this is where you now explain whether what comes into the account is going to be after tax deduction or before tax deduction. So they will know that, okay, when so amount comes in, this is the amount that comes into their account. Or if so amount comes in, they know that what tax will now be deducted from their amount. So now such informations have to be put out in the offer letter. And then structure of the work. Most companies don't work Mondays to Fridays. Some work Monday hybrid, right? We have different types of working conditions. We have the hybrid, we have the remote, and we have the on-site full-time, right? So full-time, you come Monday to Friday 9 to 5 or 9 to 4, depending on the organization. Then hybrid, you could come in Monday, Tuesday, don't come in Wednesday, come in Thursday, don't come in Friday, right? And then the remote, in the sense that you work fully from home. So now your offer letter, now after management has made their selection and recommendation, now the offer letter will come with those decisions, right? Terms of conditions of work and all of that. Is that okay? So that's is for final employment decision. And then we look at placement and orientation. So after the selection, employees are placed in appropriate roles and introduced to the organization. So this is where orientation now happens. It helps the employee to understand the company policies, the job responsibilities, the workplace culture. This is where onboarding happens. Okay, I spoke about an organization that has different subsidiaries. All right, so this is the point whereby you begin to train them on the different products you have, on the different subsidiaries that you're working with, right? And then give them trainings so that they can now begin their job properly. So that is for placement and orientation. Training and development. So training and development focuses on improving employee skills and knowledge. Okay. Training and development. Under learning, training, and development. Okay. We said training and development focuses on improving employee skills and knowledge. So learning refers to gaining knowledge or skills through study or experience. When I started my career 2 years back, if you're in the class last week, you remember me saying that I studied mass communication, and you all know that for anyone who studies mass communication, is either you're going to be in the television or radio sector, all right? Because it's expected that what you are doing, what everybody knows a mass communicator to be doing, presenting news, writing newspapers, and all of that, taking news, and all right. But what happened? I transitioned into the human resource sector and started as a HR assistant. No, even a HR intern, as a matter of fact. And what happened? I learned on the job. That's where training and development comes in. So learning is the process by which a person acquires and develops knowledge and skills, capabilities, behaviors, and attitudes on the job. The learning involves modification of behavior through experience, as well as a more formal method of helping people to learn within an organization. Okay, so it was in the organization that I learned what being HR is, how to handle people, how to treat staffs, how I used to be a very playful person. But the person I was interning under, oh my goodness, if you see her face, you won't even smile. People used to say that um, HR managers don't play with their subordinates. All right, that's because you have to bring about discipline. People have to respect you. You know how human beings can be very, very behave like goats sometimes. All right, so now it is through learning and through training that I got to understand that what not everybody has to be your friend on the job, because it will now manipulate your decisions in taking actions, in giving out queries. Okay, there was there was an incident that happened between I and one of my staffs some years back. We're working on a project whereby um, there was this weekly program we do where we discuss the product we're working with. We bring in a speaker to come and discuss the product that we're working in, right? So as HR manager, I had to monitor the activities. And there was a staff who happened to be a friend of mine, all right? And now the person that was going to go online needed the staff to do something for her. And the staff was just on the call in the office. And I realized that it was few minutes to when the person was going to go on air. So I went and I was like, why, what's happening? Why haven't you gone on air? The person was like, she's waiting for the other staff to send her a document that would help her, through the process of um, the interview. And I was like, I went, she was on the call, she was like, let her finish first. I'm like, are you serious? And so when I, went off on the staff, she was now like, I'm doing too much with this, my professionalism. I'm being too professional. Do you understand? And that was because of what? Creating a relationship outside work environment. So made her think that what I cannot scold her when she's wrong. Do you understand? And management had to come in and made her understand that what there's a difference between work relationship and relationship outside work. So you have to perform your duties first before we become friends. Okay, so there's nothing like being too professional. Your professionalism is too much. No, you have to do the job. So now, learning helped me understand that what I can differentiate relationships outside the work environment, right? I could also instill rules and regulations and make sure that they are followed there. Doesn't stop me from playing with you, doesn't stop me from smiling with you, but what rules have to be followed. Okay, so now it was through the learning and development that I got to understand that. All right, and with them you would also learn all of that. Okay, so training focuses on teaching employees specific skills required for their jobs. Examples, teaching employees how to use accounting software. Now that is something that a lot of people do not know how to use, right? Accountants would most of the times use Excel sheets to just document their, but there's something called the accounting software, which makes work quite easy, right? You don't have to spend hours imputing information into your Excel sheet. The accounting software helps you to do what? To even make notes, to even make your monthly reports. It does it for you based on the information that has been imputed. So now training starts on how to use them. Is very, very important, right? Then development. Development focuses on long-term growth of employees. We have examples which are leadership training for future managers. If you're here last week, you remember I spoke about a company where I worked in. a mortgage firm whereby they had to now take their staffs outside the country for training, right, on mortgage. And that was because why? I told you that the system of mortgage is totally different from how it is here in Nigeria. So how do you make Nigerians to adapt? How do you make them see that mortgage is a form of you owning a property without you paying upfront, without you having millions in your account, without you having hundreds of thousands in your account? Okay, so mortgage helps with that, and then training of your staffs, helping your managers understand these things would now what? Inform the decision on how to carry out such products into the Nigerian market. Okay, so that's where development comes in. So the difference between learning and training: learning is broad and continuous, while training is specific and job focused. Do you understand that?
Yeah, please come again. Learning is
Okay, I said learning is broad and continuous, while training is specific and job focused. So learning is something that we cannot stop. Okay, there's some people that they just like to learn. They, as a matter of fact, they can have their first degree, they'll still go for second degree, they'll still go for third degree. My dad was a scholar. As a matter of fact, he went to the rank of a professor, and I saw him, he was always reading. He doesn't even sleep at night. Why? Because he keeps learning, he keeps training. Okay, so it is continuous. It does not ever stop. They said even when you reach a professor, there's another one called emeritus. All right, so it's a continuous process. Training is systematic application process to formal impact and help, right? So when you are training staffs, you train them based on their area of specialization. Recently my MD said we needed to get an account consultant to come and train our accountants, right? So now this training is specific. You know that when an accounting consultant comes in, not everybody in the organization is going to be part of that training because they are not accountants. So it is job specific. Do you understand? So that training is just for the accountant, and it is for a period of time. It could be 2 weeks, it could be 1 month, it could be 3 months, it could be 6 months. Right? So learning is continuous, while training is specific and job focused. Do you understand the difference now?
Yes, ma'am.
All right. So objectives of training: it improves employee performance, it increases productivity, and it prepares employees for higher responsibilities. Now, the essence of training the accountant is so that what? There are a lot of accounting systems that she's not aware of. Or let's talk about this recent policy by the government whereby we have to pay tax. Nigeria was not really big on tax payments, but now what? The banking system has been introduced to tax. So before, if organizations don't even take tax seriously, or deducting tax from staff salaries seriously, now they would have to. If not, they will pay from their pockets. So now they have to now put policies in place and procedures in place in order to ensure that what, in as much as we're paying tax, our staffs don't get affected, the organization doesn't get affected. There's a process in which can be followed that both the staff and the organization is what is happy. Right? So that is the objectives of training. So benefits of training: it improves employee efficiencies, it reduces error, and it increases employee confidence. If, as an accountant, I know that I'm good at my job, what am I going to be? Am I not going to be confident in myself? Definitely. If, as a doctor, you are asked to do what, medicine has different fields. We have let's let me use the dentist for example. If a patient comes in and they're thinking about tooth problem, now if I've been trained on the job, I'm going to be confident in myself that what, when I open the client's mouth, I'm going to be able to tell them what their problem is, whether we're going to remove the teeth or is a bacteria that is in there, and then maybe clean it and then refill or whatever, right? So it makes you confident on your job. So that's the benefit of training. So we have types of employee training. We have on-the-job training and we have off-the-job training. On-the-job training, employees learn while performing their job tasks. Okay, just like I explained when I was working with my mentor as a HR intern, I learned on the job. Okay, so that is on the job training. I practically learned everything about HR management, about filing, how to document, staff document. As a HR manager, when you find a firm that you're working with, you realize that even how you keep staff's documents, their offer letter, their guarantor form, their certificate, there is a specific process of documenting these things. There is one that comes after the other, one by one. So now, on-the-job training would help you understand these things. But if wording training is like this, you won't be able to know such kind of things. All right. So it is while you're on the job, you will now you'll be able to see how such documents are kept, how documentation is done, how filing is done, how onboarding is done, how interviews are done. Right? Because interview self needs a certain kind of skill to be able to, as a matter of fact, if you don't have skill as an interviewer, the person that you're interviewing will begin to interview you, because some people know how to ask questions that that I don't even understand. They will come and begin to ask you questions. Before you know it, you're the one who is answering questions instead of you being the one to ask the questions. Right? So that's where training comes in. You learn how to interview, how to ask questions, okay? How to be in control of the interview process. That is on the job training. We have off the job training now. Off the job training is when we now go to external sources to do what? To train. Okay? Okay. So performance appraisal. Are we good on these topics that we've discussed? Please, do you have any questions? If you have questions, don't be shy. You can ask your questions. Okay.
I just want to ask, in every interview,
Yeah.
interviewers to select people that have experience. So how can someone like a let me say fresh graduate or someone that has just obtained a certificate on the particular course,
Mm.
how are you supposed to gain experience? How are they expecting to have the experience of the job
Mm.
without you working?
Okay, fantastic. So remember we talked about recruitment process, right? So when you see such kind of jobs, like I spoke about the data analyst who we're looking for, in our job description, we did not say we are looking for a data analyst intern or a data analyst fresh graduates. Now, most of the times, job applications or job vacancies come with specific instructions. There are times whereby they tell you we're looking for a data analyst intern, we're looking for a customer representative, or we're looking for fresh graduates, okay? Or we're looking for business development person. Nobody will be looking for a business development person that does not have an experience. So it is your mistake when you see such vacancies and you still go and apply. Because if you don't have the experience, what are you doing there? There are jobs that actually look for this kind of candidates, fresh graduates. Some is even NYSC. They're looking for NYSC's coppers to now come. While they are doing their youth service, they are also learning. And in the process of learning, after their youth service, they can now retain them. So that is the process where you now learn. That is how you now gain experience. But some organizations don't want that. Now, the essence of getting interns or getting fresh graduates is because you already have a manager or a supervisor already on ground. And so you just need someone to assist them. So it's in the process of assisting that you now learn. I spoke about while I was a HR intern. If I had applied for, let me even be honest, I actually applied for the HR job. But when they and then I had no experience as a HR person. I only did a course on HR management and people development, right? Then I didn't have the experience. So the woman knew that, okay, I had the knowledge, but I didn't have the first-hand experience. What did she do? She took me as an intern. Because if she said, okay, or I take the job, do I know what I'm going to do? No. I'm just going to be doing trial and error. Do you understand? So that is where training comes in. So depending on the job that you apply for, each job has specifications. That's why there is a process to recruitment. It has specifications, it has job descriptions, it has information about the kind of job you're going to do and the kind of individual that should apply for the job. Okay, so no organization would put in applications and then put in vacancies and they say they want you to have experience whereby you're just a fresh graduate. No, every organization knows what they're looking for. So if you go and apply for a managerial position and you know you don't have the experience, definitely they're going to tell you that you don't have the experience because you're a fresh graduate. Okay.
All right.
Okay. So does everyone understand that?
Please, I have a question.
Go ahead.
Okay. Good morning. Okay, so where does the learning on the job applies? Because you made mention of learning on the job. So where do you apply the learning on the job process if an organization is looking for an experienced worker? How do you get to learn on the job? Because if you don't know, you don't know. You just have to learn on the job.
Definitely.
And I read a post somewhere on Twitter where some people say normalize lying on your CV. And some people were saying, yeah, it's good. I lied on my CV. I got the job. I learned on the job. Some persons were saying, no, 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 you don't have to. The HR, they are not stupid. They know what they want. You'll embarrass yourself. So what are the job roles one can normalize lying on their CV on? Because I know fintech jobs is a total no. All these key and tech job, it's a total no because
Mhm.
you cannot lie that you're a data analyst when you don't even know
Mhm.
how to prepare a
Definitely.
spreadsheet or so what are the job roles one can at least lie lie on the CV and then get to learn on the job?
Okay, that's a fantastic question. Now, I won't tell you that if you're applying for a HR job, you can learn on the job. I won't also tell you that if you're applying for an account, a finance manager, you can learn on the job. You have to start from somewhere. Okay? So now, when you are looking for jobs to apply for, peradventure, let's use LinkedIn. Now, LinkedIn is specific. You can go on your search bar and then type in intern, and you will see internship opportunities there that you can apply to. There's a pool of internship opportunities for different sectors. So you can say intern at even banks take fresh graduate interns, right? Uh, what's it called? NGOs take interns. Which other sector? Hospitals take interns. Nursing takes interns, right? So now you learn on the job through internship. And the only way you can get these internships is if you apply for them, right? There are jobs that specify that this is what they're looking for. And that is how you learn through these internships. Now, internship is a process of training. Okay, they train you on the specific area of specialization. It could be admin assistant. Before you become an admin manager, you have to become an admin assistant. And lying on your CV, sometimes it's skill in Nigeria because a lot of management don't really go through the rigorous process of screening candidates. The moment you can speak English, the moment you can write, that's it. You will just lion will fly. It can fly. Okay, there was a lady who came in for the customer executive position that we talked about now. When she applied for it, her CV was looking good. Okay, we brought her in, and in the process of interviewing her, I realized she doesn't even know how to use a PC. She's not familiar with Word documents. She's not familiar with Google documents. And it is essential that as a executive assistant, you are familiar with these things because you're going to be writing, taking meeting briefs for your MD. You're going to be organizing meetings. And in organizing meetings, you either make use of your Google Meet or your Zoom. Do you understand? Now, all these tools, she was not familiar with them. But what? She just graduated. I think she graduated few months after few months after her NYSC, and then she applied for the job. And it was in the process of interview that we realized that, oh no, in fact, as a matter of fact, she's even into the fashion field, right? She's an art person. And the sector we're in is a sector whereby we deal with oil and gas, we deal with agriculture, we deal with finance. So she's not going to be able to cope. Do you understand? So there is no way we would have been able to employ her because we're going to be having problems teaching her. And even while you're teaching, person might not be able to understand because it's not their field. They have no prior knowledge on the sector that we're dealing with. Okay, so it's even going to be difficult to learn on the job. So if you as the HR manager, you don't know what the job description of a certain role is, you're going to employ the wrong candidates and then employ candidates who don't know what they are doing. So in such kind of situation, lying on your CV will not fly. Because by the time you come in for interviews, you realize that, oh no, this person is a fraud. Let's use that word. Yeah, because when you lie on your CV, what I ordered versus what I got, that's what we're going to be getting. All right. So it ain't gonna fly. Yeah, but there are internships positions out there that you can apply for that would enable you learn on the job depending on the sector you want to go into. If it is NGOs, there are internship positions for NGOs. If it is accounting, there are internships for accountants. You come in as an account assistant, you come in as an admin assistant, and you learn while you are under the manager. While you're under the manager, while you're under your supervisor. Or sometimes when you come in serve as an intern, they train you. There's training for you. Most organizations put in money into training their interns so that they can be well equipped and well knowledgeable on the kind of products or services that the organization provides. All right.
Okay, so you're saying it's best to go for an internship role when you don't have an experience on a job than applying for the job directly as an experienced person.
Fantastic.
Okay, thank you.
You're welcome. Okay. Because If I was given the job, if I was given the job when I applied for the HR manager position, I wouldn't have known what to do. I wouldn't have known how to deal with staffs, how to deal with employers. Oh my God, employers will stress you. I have a friend who works with a fintech company, and you know how these IT people can be. They feel like they're on top of the world because they know things that you don't know. And as the HR manager, if you don't know your job, you're going to think that they are the ones that are managing you instead of you being the one managing them. With fintechs nowadays, a lot of IT personnel prefer to work remotely, right? So, in an organization whereby you say you have to report to the office, now, as an employee, I can decide to come in by 10 a.m., can decide to come in by 11, 12, right? And if I just got employed in the job as a HR manager that I don't have any experience, how am I supposed to deal with such kind of stuff? I don't have knowledge on that. Okay. But if you have the experience, you know that what there is repercussions for not sticking to organizational policy. The policy says that what resumption time is 9 a.m. Resumption time is 8 a.m. Okay. And if your offer letter does not state that as an IT person, you can just come into the office at any time of the day, or you can just come into the office at 2 hours. If your offer letter does not state an hourly payment rate, then you have no reason not being in the office by 9. Now, there's a policy in my organization whereby if you know you're going to be anything late than 9:15, you should be able to call the HR manager and say, I'm sorry, ma'am, I am so caught up in traffic, or I had an emergency. I will be late. I'll come in by 12, I'll come in by 10. Do you understand? This way, it will help you avoid facing uh, queries that you don't even plan to. When we resumed in January, there was something that happened with a staff. We resumed January. I think everyone resumed on the 5th, right? But somehow that was the period that a certain staff decided to travel. Monday morning, everybody was in the office. This person was nowhere to be found. Just for us to call him, and he was like, he's on the road, though. He went for a family business trip. We say, Oga, you're under our payroll. And so this time is paid. So you're supposed to be in the office by this time. Christmas and New Year has finished. You're supposed to be in the office. Okay? So he took an extra week. Now, what happened? That period, salaries were supposed to be reviewed. But what happened? Because as a HR manager, you know the kind of punishment to give to such kind of indiscipline. His salary wasn't reviewed. The 1 week that he refused to come to work was deducted from his salary. Okay, so he was going to face about 2 months without salary review. Now, any other staff that has sense, we know that what when it is resumption time, they should resume. And if they can't resume, what do? You pass message across. But if you come in as a newbie, and then maybe you lie on your CV and you can speak English, you blow them away with your grammar, and you're taking the job. How would you be able to handle such matters? Would you know how to handle it? No, you wouldn't. And that will create a gap in the organization. It will bring about a strain in the organization because why? There is no disciplinary actions for insubordination. There's no disciplinary action for misconduct because you don't even know what to do. And what you don't know, you don't know. Am I right? Most of the times, it's not what it is written in your paper that you go and execute while you're on the job. It's what you are trained on, what you see happening on a daily basis. Is that okay? So there was there was a point in time whereby staffs just come in at whatever time they wanted. And then we brought in somebody to come and train us. And we realized that what we needed a login book whereby when you come in the morning, you log in the time you came in. When you are going out, you also sign out. Okay, so that way we now began to reduce the amount of latecomers that came to the office because why they knew that when it's time for appraisals, they are latecomers. So there's no way they're going to be qualified for salary review, or and even if there's going to be review, their review might not be as much as everybody's else because they know that what they are defaulting. All right. So training brings about these things, and you can learn that as an intern. Okay. Are we good?
Yes, ma.
Can I ask a question, ma?
Yes, ma'am.
Yes,
Go ahead.
Right.
ma.
Right. Is it possible for somebody to apply for a job without seeing maybe a job description or a vacancy on net? You just feel like, okay, you're desperate to get a job, or you want to get an intern experience as much as you want. You just maybe walk into a company and tell them you want to do this, or you go on their net on their website and apply, or you walk up to the company and tell them, okay, you want to do an intern job, want to have an experience
Mm.
for a while. Is it possible to do that?
It is very, very possible. Okay, because there is no way it is written that when you see a job application you cannot apply. But why are you applying? Is that your field? And then if you are given the job, would you be able to perform? Would you be able to carry out the duties of the job? Now, a lot of HR managers, sorry to say, are not even aware of their job descriptions. Okay, because as a HR manager, you are not supposed to put out a vacant position without stating the description of the job. I spoke about if you've tried applying for international jobs, you will see their job description is like an onboarding document. It is broad. Before even coming into the organization, you know what your job description is all about. You know what you're going to do. The offer letter is there, the benefits are there. They will show you what we offer you, what you stand to gain as an employee when you come in. So before you even go for interview, you already know the things that are entailed in the position that you're applying for. Because, okay, what HR managers don't understand is it helps them and reduces pool of applicants. Because, for instance, I want to apply for a bank manager position, and you don't state these things out for me. You don't state the what is it called, the benefits. You don't state the salary range. And then we finish our interview process. Let's say it's a different stage of interview. And then we get to the third stage, and you now say, this is what we offer. And I know that where I am currently, I earn more than that. What do you think is going to happen? Your whole work is going to be useless because it's going to be a walk in the park. Right? I'm going to say I'm not going to take it because that's not the offer that I thought I was going to get. All right, because let's say, for instance, I'm earning 2.5 million where I am currently, and I'm hoping to upgrade to a bigger tech company, and then I'm expecting to earn 5 million, 4.5 million, and then you come here telling me you want to offer me 1 million naira. Do you think I'm going to take it? Especially when you've gone through 2 stages of interview, 2 stages of analyzing clients. It's not going to work. So it's going to be a waste of time for you as a HR manager. It's going to be a waste of time for the organization, because while the position is vacant and job is not being done, right? So if you as a person feels like you need a job desperately, of course you can apply. And if you have the time to go through those processes and then reach the final stage whereby they tell you, this is what we are offering, it is left to you to decide if you want to take it or you don't want to take it. Is that clear?
Yes, ma'am. Yes, ma'am. Clear. The reason why I asked was there was a period when I was waiting for my NYSC call up.
Mm,
So I waited for I only thought I was going to stay at home for just few weeks, but
mm,
Nigeria happened and I waited for over months that I didn't expect. So before then, I was applying for a job. So somebody was advising me that, because I was actually so desperate to do something instead of being idle, because my business, my own personal business I was doing as a student then, was not keeping me much busy as I wanted. So, and I had this all that I want to even get experience on my field, because I studied accounting. I want to get more experience on my field even before going to serve or stuff like that. So someone advised me, you can just walk up to a company and tell them you want to be a trainee, even if you're not being paid, even if you want to be paid, you just want to be trained for the why waiting for your NYSC. So I thought it like it was is that possible? Instead of you going there to embarrass yourself, I actually didn't go to a physical office, but I applied online. I applied in some vacancies. So that was what I'm still thinking. Is it still possible for somebody to just walk up to a company and tell them this is what you want, and
Yeah,
you get an offer and you'll be granted something?
of course, it's possible. So if there's a vacancy in that organization, why not? They'll take you. And if there is no vacancy, most organizations, what they do is, in order not to hurt your feelings, they'll tell you, okay, bring your documents. We'll reach out to you when there's a vacant position. There was a time where someone walked into our organization and was looking for a cleaner job. We didn't put out vacancies for a office assistant, cleaners, but the person came in. And at the time, an office assistant was actually needed, but we had not put out a vacancy. Right. The only thing was the person was not fit for the role. We needed a male person, and this person looks like a woman, a motherly person. All these people that are advanced in age, but are looking for jobs to do. So her position would have been best maybe in a home as a home manager, right, like as a housekeeper, but not in an office environment, because for an office environment you need someone who is agile, you need someone who can run errands. Do you understand? So that was the only reason why we didn't take her. If not, if she was suitable for that position, she would have come into the organization and gotten a job that day. All right, so it's still very, very possible. And there are organizations too who take interns that don't pay them. Most of the times, people take internships without pay so that they can gain the experience, so that they can have, when you're writing experiences on your CV, or writing, what you've achieved in a certain position. Now, those internships would help you put it out. So while they're interviewing you, you can be confident in, defending yourself and say, yes, I did this. As a digital marketer, I was able to gain about 200 sales in a month. I was able to, within the space of 2 weeks, I was able to gain about 90% increase on revenue, right, for the organization. Because why? You've gotten experience. So most of the times, if you desperately want experiences that would now help you gain the actual job, that's where you go for the internship without pay. Those ones are also available, right? But there are some organizations that would pay you for data, right, for your internship, or transportation if it is physical. So it's very, very possible.
Okay, thank you, Ma.
You're welcome. So next thing would be performance appraisal. So performance appraisal is a systematic evaluation of employee performance. It helps organizations measure employee productivity and identify areas of improvement. We get what performance appraisal is. So the system of performance appraisal compels the management to have a promotion policy within the organization. It also gives motivation to those employees who are efficient and are capable of working in the best way. So an organizational goals can be achieved only when people within the organization give their best efforts, right? So the importance of performance appraisal is to provide employee feedback, is to identify training needs, is to support promotion decisions. Like I said, a time whereby staff just come into the office at anytime they feel like. What did we do? We got a logbook whereby they would have to sign in and sign out. So when we want to now look into promotions, right, or looking for staff of the week or staff of the month or staff of the year, those informations would help us inform our decision to choosing which staff is worthy of such benefits or such price, right? So what some organizations do is they put a price tag to uh what's the word, to staffs who come early, right? Let's say there's a 50,000 naira price tag. What will happen? Every staff will make sure that if resumption time is 9 a.m., by 8, the office is full. Why? Because staffs know that what? There is a policy to punctuality in the organization. And when promotions are going to be made, we don't just make promotions based on feelings or relationships. Now, these things support our promotions decisions, right? We have methods of staff performance appraisal. We have the traditional methods, and examples of these methods are ranking method, paired comparison, grading method, checklist method, and graphic skill. Sorry. So in our document here, we said performance appraisal is a systematic assessment of an individual with respect to his or her performance on the job and his or her potential for development in that job. Okay, so in as much as we do our best to train staffs, we also try to ensure that what their performance are graded, their performance are checkmated, in the sense that a staff cannot just you can't have, let's say, about 5 customer cares that are supposed to handle customer inquiries, that are supposed to pick. What is the job description of a customer care? Who can tell me one?
Attend to the customer's need.
Fantastic. Speaking of calls, so if as a customer care rep, you, let's say in a day, you are able to attend to 5 calls, let's just say 10 to 15 calls in a day, because you can't spend 95 and just pick only 95 calls, right? And we have a pool of over 200 clients that called, but you're only able to attend to 10 or 15. Do you think you've done well? You'll be feeling, I'm so tired. The kind of calls I picked today, the kind of complaints I attended to. Of course, you attended to complaints, didn't you? Because 10 to 15 is not a small number. But based on the organization, we have about 200 pool of customers who have problems that need to be attended to. All right. So now, the performance appraisal is where in your job description you are told that what you should be able to attend to at least a minimum of 50 in a week. Because if you have over 200 clients to attend to, let's just divide it 50 per week, making it 200, right? So at least 50 per week. So in a day, how many should you be able to do this thing, reach out to? Let's calculate it. 50 divided by
Should be 10, at least minimum of 10 if it's 50 per week. Since we have
5
5 days.
days.
Yeah.
Exactly. So in a month, you will now say, if you even try and you do that 10 to 15 in a day, safe, you have tried, because if you calculate it in a month, you have about 200 and something, maybe 220, right? So now, with that, we can now inform our decision on, it will inform our decision on doing what? Maybe increasing your salary, giving you a salary review, or promotion, making you a customer rep manager, right? These are the kind of, that's the essence of a performance appraisal. We also have the modern method, which is the 360-degree feedback, the assessment centers, and behaviorally anchored rating skills. The rating skills, like I said, checking how many number of calls or how many um, clients you attended to. There's this platform I make use of, CDK. So at the end of your call, I think I've purchased like once or twice from them. At the end of the call, you will see the customer care will tell you to please rate them. Can you give them either a 5-star rating, a 4, a 3, a 2, or 1? So now those ratings will determine how the calls were made, if they were nice to you, if they were rude to you, because sometimes some people wake up on the wrong side of the bed and you call them, they're like, Oga, what is your problem? Excuse me, hello, how can I help you, please? And then you're laying your complaint, and Oga, please go and check the system. This is not us, it's not from us, it is from your own end. Do you understand? You've not been able to attend to the client. But because of these systems that have been put in place, you know that what if I talk to this client anyhow, there is feedback at the end of this call. So it puts you in a checkmated in a state. It checkmates your activity. So you know that okay, when you pick a call, you first of all greet, hello sir, good morning. My name is Gracious. How can I help you? You know, you are polite. Do you understand? So performance appraisals helps the company and at the same time also protects the staffs and give them a let me say a stable means of promotion. Okay, for people who are serious minded, they know that okay, if I stick to my job, if I'm able to do this, if I'm able to achieve, because doing your job is not just by coming to work and making calls, it's about the effectiveness of, you know, executing your tasks, executing what is in your job description, not just doing your job. Okay, so benefits of performance appraisal: it improves productivity, it enhances employee motivation, it supports HR decision making. Do you understand performance appraisal and why it is important?
Yes, ma'am.
Okay, so problems of performance appraisal: there is bias from supervisors, there is lack of clear evaluation criteria, and there is poor communication. So now in a situation whereby systems are not automated, if you're just going to choose randomly, now that is where there's a disadvantage for performance appraisal, because I'm just going to say, my brother is in this office, so it has to be him. People are going to what is it called, promote. If you don't promote my brother, there's going to be a problem. But what when there are systems in place, like the customer care rep that you're now going to give a review for, it's automatic, it is already systematic, a system is a system that cannot be altered. Okay, at the end of the day, the IT team will send it to the admin department and they will use that to now inform their decision. Okay, so as we conclude, we look at human resource. We've seen how human resource management plays a critical role in organizational success. The processes such as recruitment, selection, training, and performance appraisal, how it helps organizations build competent and productive teams. So when these HR functions are properly implemented, organizations are better positioned to achieve their strategic goals. Okay. Do you have any question on performance appraisal?
Yes, ma'am. I have a question.
Go ahead.
Okay, so I want to know the best approach for HR manager to tackle punctuality in an office space. Is it to applaud or reward those that come early, or to subcharge those that come late? What's the best approach to encourage punctuality in a workspace?
Okay, so that's fantastic. And now, earlier I said some organizations put a price tag to the most punctual staff of the year or to the staff that comes early, right? And for some, I said if you are anything late than 15 minutes past 9, if your resumption time is 9, what's going to happen is either they will remove 2,000 naira from your salary or remove 1,000 naira from your salary, right? So those are measures that are put in place for staffs that come early, staffs that come late, in order to be able to see that the organization functions in a systematic manner. Okay, so there is always what will I call it? Repercussions to whatever. If you decide to be the unruly one, there's repercussions for that. And if you decide to be the punctual one, the staff that follows rules and regulations, there is also reward for that. Some organizations go as far as getting your picture and posting it in the lobby area, whereby as customers are coming in or as clients and partners are coming in, they can boldly see your picture, staff of the week, and to make you happy. Like, oh, it is my picture is on this organization. You will feel a sense of belonging, and that can only your picture can only be there if out of 5 days of the week you are the first person that came in every day, or out of 5 days, 4 days out of 5, you are the first person to come into the organization. Okay, and then if you're the one who is coming late, as a HR manager, what do? Is either a deduction from salary or what? No, no notice for you at all. Nobody's going to notice you. Nobody's going to applaud you. Is that okay?
Okay, thank you.
Okay, so just a few questions. What is recruitment? You can tell me what recruitment is. We looked at our topic today, which is recruitment. Who can tell me what recruitment is?
Okay, from what I heard so far, it's simply the process of selecting the best candidates for a job description.
Okay, fantastic. Someone else? It's like it's only this lady that is in the
Okay.
class.
From
Well,
what I
Go ahead.
Okay, recruitment is a process of attracting
manager.
capable.
Okay. So who can tell me what's the difference between recruitment and selection?
Is the act of searching for people to employ in an organization. In an organization, this selection is after you have gotten people that job, you have to select or to choose the best person to employ for that particular post or position.
Fantastic. Raymond, you want to say something?
Yeah, and people is going to face me, but recruitment is attracting candidates to apply, while selection is the act of evaluating candidates that have applied already, choosing the right people for the job.
Okay, that's fantastic. Anyone else before we close? Okay. So, as you go, I just want us to understand that human resource management is about managing people effectively. So when organizations recruit the right people, train them properly, and evaluate their performance fairly, they create a strong workforce that drives organizational success. Because as the HR manager, your job is not just to manage people, but to ensure that the people that you've brought on board are able to execute the duties and job descriptions that are assigned to them in order to bring about success in an organization. Is that okay?
yes, ma.
All right. So I think we've come to the end of today's class. Uh, This is where we'll end it while you guys would go for your next class. I think program management, right? Okay, so I think you are supposed to put in your names, right, for attendance.
Okay.
All right, so next
ma.
class will be project management, and I will see you again next week, our next class.
Thank you
Mm?
very much,
Thank
ma.
you, ma. Thank you, ma.
Thank you, ma.
All right. Have a nice day, everybody.
All right,
You
ma.
too, ma. You too, ma. Thank you, ma.
Testimony has something to say. Um,
Sorry, ma, that was a mistake.
okay, all right.